Assalamu alaikum. My name's Nyrah. I'm a GP pharmacist and I'll be your host for today's health show on British Muslim TV. Now, in today's topic of discussion, we will be talking about weight loss and exercise. I know the COVID pandemic has had a big impact on all of us, both mentally as well as physically. And I think with gyms being closed now, it's been really hard to get back in shape and remove all that lockdown weight. And to talk about weight loss in a much more safer way, there's so many things online now to really address weight loss myths out there. I've invited a very special guest. Her name's Dr. Sharma, and she's more than happy to answer a list of questions I've made for her. So Dr. Sharma, it'd be lovely to introduce her to the guest. Hi, Dr. Sharma. Thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you this evening?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. And I think before we even go into the show, it'd be nice to introduce yourself to everyone, just get a bit of a background about what you do and your current role.
Lovely. So hello everyone, my name's Dr. Monika Sharma. I am a junior doctor. I'm currently training to become a GP and I work in East London. I have a passion for fitness, for food, and I aim to kind of provide an educational platform that delivers evidence-based resources.
Brilliant. And I think a nice starting question will be, why do you think it's actually important that we are, focusing on our weight? New Year's resolutions are going to be starting. Why should, patients and viewers out there really start to focus on losing their weight and growing towards, a more healthier lifestyle?
So I think, weight loss might not be everybody's aim or goal, but I think if you are overweight or you are obese, then focusing on weight loss would be your goal, especially to prevent diseases which is associated with this. So with regards to fitness or physical activity, there are numerous health benefits ranging from, disease prevention. And some of those diseases include type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. And also being physically active has lots of mental health benefits as well.
Definitely. And I think taking into consideration that weight and having excessive weight on your body can lead to so many different complications. It all starts off with just piling on the pounds till later on, you're classified as obesity or overweight according to your BMI. And that's been a really big struggle for patients, even for example, with arthritis, where, both diet as well as weight has such a big impact. From your experience, what do you think is the most healthiest or kind of best way to lose weight? Is there a best way to lose weight, or do you think there's more of a individual approach to weight loss?
I think you're right in the sense that it is an individual approach. I don't think there's a one size fits all, but I think what the key things that I kind of strive to encourage is to have these daily habits that you work on. And by having these daily habits, you'll fit, physical activity into your daily routine. And having this habit forming method will mean that you will probably more likely do it every day. So I think that on one side, as well as focusing on kind of nutrient dense and well balanced meals, those together would probably help kind of motivate you in order to, be proactive within your lifestyle.
You definitely think those two factors, kind of work both hand in hand. You can exercise, but if the diet's not right, then they both kind of contraindicate each other. And I think motivation is one of the biggest challenges. Yes, you can sign up to the gym, you can get all the fancy memberships out there, but getting that motivation to actually get up and go to the gym is probably one of the hardest. From your experience, is there any tips that you could provide individuals to gain their motivation back?
I think, motivation is such a kind of really good driving factor to have. But there are days, and I will put my hands up and say that I am not motivated every day. And sometimes I wake up and I think, oh, I really don't want to do it, especially in these cold, dark winter mornings. But what I rely on is these daily habits, the fact that I've been getting up every day consistently, either going for a brisk walk or doing a workout. And this consistency, I think, is actually what would keep you doing these physical activities or whatever you are doing every day. So I wouldn't solely rely on motivation. What I would do is say, actually, I'm going to be consistent for X amount of days. And once you are consistent, you've already, built a habit, and then you will rely on that rather than waking up feeling super motivated.
Definitely. I think keeping consistent with anything you do, it's going to just naturally fall part into your everyday routine. Repetition is key there. And just for someone who's completely new to the whole exercise and gym kind of plan, what tips would you give someone to help ease their way back into exercise? How often do you think someone should be exercising every week?
So I think one of the things I would say is start now. I wouldn't start, at the beginning of a new week or a new month or new year. I would just start now. And it doesn't have to be insane. You don't have to go to the gym and spend X amount of hours. It's whether you want to go for a brisk walk. You can make that social and, get some friends involved, or you can try and go for a jog or go for a swim, whatever you fancy. I would say just start now. And start now and try to be consistent. So if you are going to do something, try and do that, X amount of days in a row, and then hopefully you will build on those habits. With regards to, what I was going to say was with regards to kind of how many hours or whatever you should be doing, actually the NHS website has a very good kind of category for specific ages. So, 19 to 64, how many minutes of vigorous activity or intense activity you should be doing. So I would definitely direct the viewers to that to see what category they fit into.
Definitely. I'm glad you mentioned the NHS websites, because I think not many people actually utilize or take advantage of the free resources and trusted resources on the NHS online website. So if you're watching at home, if you were to just type in NHS weight loss, it's the first link that comes up. But definitely give it a read. I think generally they say any adult should at least be taking minimum half an hour of light to moderate aerobic activity a day. And talking more specifically about the different types of activities you should be doing, when it comes to fat loss, what's best for fat loss? Should you just focus more on the cardio, or should you be doing weight training, or is it a mixture of both?
I think you've answered the question. It's definitely a mixture of both. And, I think a lot of people, when they think of exercise, they think, once I've sweated, I've done a really good workout. Once I've done, X amount of cardio, that's it, I'm sold. But actually what I would promote the viewers to do is actually do strength training, because I think strength training is so underrated and it's got amazing health benefits, especially for bone health and for balance. And especially in the aging population, we can see that those that have been doing strength training, they've increased their balance over time and then have a reduced risk of falling. So strength training is definitely something that I would invest time into.
Definitely. And does strength training just involve starting off with lower end weights, then working your way up to higher strength weights?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can also, incorporate resistance training. So there's kind of a lot of resistant bands out there. I'm not asking the viewers to become, like a bodybuilder or a weightlifter, but it's just any form of exercise or movement that kind of resists your body and applies that kind of resistance. I think that is key.
Definitely. And I think there's a lot of weight loss myths out there. A lot of myths I was actually reading the other day. A lot of women get scared of weights and weight training because they feel as if they're going to become more bulky or, like you said, like a bodybuilder. So it is, really important that we do kind of highlight that is a myth. You won't just naturally go 10 times size in terms of your muscles just simply because women have less testosterone compared to men. But in general, definitely strength-based training, including weights, so many different benefits on your health. And in terms of actually losing weight, should you be aiming to lose a specific amount of fat or weight each week, or should you not be planning at all and just gradually increasing the amount of exercise you do each week and measure your weight at the end of each month? I know a lot of paranoia comes into going to the gym, using the weighing scales, and it can make some people very anxious as well. You know, the more they're weighing themselves and the more they're looking at their weight. You know, should you be aiming for a specific amount of weight loss each week?
So I think, what you've all touched on is very tricky, because I think it's about achieving that fine balance. I think, yes, if your aim is to lose weight, then you should be targeting at a specific amount in, X amount of time, but you should be doing that in a structured environment and making sure that you seek professional advice. So I think, going to your GPs, going to a fitness trainer, somebody that can calculate a plan for you and help you do that in a healthy way. Because what tends to happen is people tend to follow, diets for a short amount of time. And yes, they lose a lot of weight in that short amount of time, but then it's not sustainable in the future. So I think it's about doing it in a structured approach, which is going to be sustainable for you, rather than you piling on those pounds back.
Definitely. I think that's definitely the safer option to do, especially if you're new to the whole exercise and kind of gym game, and really go for more expert opinions, or your doctors or your local pharmacist on your kind of individualized weight loss goal. And we are coming towards the end of part one now. Dr. Sharma, you've been really brilliant. I think you do some personal training. I've actually heard. Talk a bit about that if you like.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I will be happy to talk about that.
Yeah, I think we will be cutting off very soon though, so feel free to mention your Instagram. Yeah, oh, okay. I think we'll carry on then after the break. Join us again. We'll be talking about diets and different weight loss tips. We'll be covering more about different weight loss myths out there with Dr. Sharma. Join us again. I'm your host, and you're watching The Health Show. Welcome back after the break. My name's Nyrah. I'm a GP pharmacist, and I'm your host on today's health show. In part one of the health show, we introduced our amazing guest, Dr. Sharma. We were discussing weight loss in a healthy way and the current weight loss myths out there. Hello, Dr. Sharma. Lovely to have you back.
Thank you very much.
It'd be brilliant to actually jumping straight into the rest of the questions we had. I wanted to actually discuss about different diets out there. Everyone hears the phrase abs are made in the kitchen. What you eat is definitely has a big influence on your weight, and of course your mental health as well. So how important is it to focus on the diet and what you eat?
I think it's incredibly important. So I think, people may have a goal to have abs, and they think that doing 1,000 crunches a day is going to get them there, but actually it's about having a balance between physical activity as well as nutrition. And it's important about what you're actually consuming and what you're putting in your mouth. And I think that's kind of what the saying is trying to say, essentially. But I think it's having that key balance between physical activity and your nutrition and what exactly you're consuming.
Definitely. And, it's so important that we're even eating the right foods, before workout and after workout. What would you recommend someone eat before they actually work out? Is there specific foods they should be eating, or can they just, have a protein shake and just jump straight into the gym?
So I think, it's about what activity you're actually doing, and, the amount of load that you're going to be having and how much, energy you're going to exert. I think for me, if there's something that I am going to eat before I work out, it would be something that's very nutrient and energy dense. Sometimes if it's something quick and you grab and go, then it's something like a banana or dates, or, as you said, a protein shake. So something that is energy dense, it's nutritious. Those are the key things that I would go for.
Definitely agreed. And yeah, there's so many healthy snacks out there now. What I usually say to some of my patients is to shop the perimeter of any kind of Tesco or Sainsbury's you go to. You've noticed that all the healthy food are actually around the perimeter of the store, and as you go towards the centre, it's all of the junk food, the chocolates, the crisps. So I usually say just stick to the perimeter, pick up a healthy snack, and then slowly incorporate that into your kind of daily routine. And I did actually want to ask you a question. I was reading about, sugar cravings. They usually say, the best time to eat sugar is actually after a workout. Do you know anything a bit about why that could actually be true?
So I think the I've heard, a lot of things about, if you have a McDonald's after a workout, then it doesn't count, and I think that's because of energy utilization when you're having a workout or just after a workout. But what I would actually go back to is think about why you're actually craving sugar or these kind of unhealthy foods. And normally what happens is so some people are normally very consistent throughout the day, and then right at the end of the day they get these cravings. And what I would ask is, actually, are you fueling yourself? Are you giving yourself enough food during the day? And if that is the case, then I would look at when you're most likely going to crave these, and is it at the end of a long day? Because I know that a lot of people, myself included, have a very emotional relationship with food. So being on call, I know that I've had a hard day and I want that comfort food. But actually what I find for me is, on these long days, meal prepping, having my meals in advance, knowing exactly what I'm going to eat, and those are including my snacks. I know that my go-to at that time will be something very nutritious for me, rather than something like a chocolate bar or a biscuit or something like that.
Definitely. I think that meal planning aspect is super important. I think it makes things way easier as well, especially if you are following a diet. For example, on a Sunday, if you were to get all your meal plan boxes available and organized, just makes it so much easier, especially for someone like you, healthcare professional, that's busy or on her feet during the day. So easy just to get a meal plan box ready, and you're done. You've got your nutrition for the day. And a lot of actually some of my patients, they always ask me questions about fasting. And now there's been loads of clinical studies out there that have proven that fasting actually has very good benefits on the body. It can help lower your blood sugar levels, lower your cholesterol levels. What kind of advice would you give to someone regarding fasting? Usually they say just fast 2 days a week can have a big impact on your body and your general health. Do you have any insights into fasting in a safe way, or how long you should actually be fasting during the day?
So I think there's a lot out there, like you mentioned, and there's things like intermittent fasting, where you have certain windows throughout the day where you can eat, and then after that window you don't eat and you fast overnight and into the next day. And I think you're right, there are lots of studies out there that have shown that in certain categories fasting can be very beneficial for weight loss, and then in turn reducing and actually reversing diseases like type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure. But what I would say is that fasting is not necessarily for everyone. And I think especially if you have underlying comorbidities, I would definitely seek professional advice and medical advice before you try that, just so it can be done in a safe way. I myself actually used to intermittently fast, but what I found was that for my activity levels, I wasn't actually having enough calories throughout that day in that window. So whilst there are many trials out there, it would be case by case basis. And what I would do is, and what I would say and promote, is that if you do have underlying comorbidities, is that you seek medical advice before you try these.
Definitely an important point to make as well, because fasting, if done safely, has amazing benefits on the body. But fasting done, without any research or going there blindly, can actually do more harm than good. And in terms of the different diets out there, one famous diet that a lot of articles you'll see, on magazines, on TV, is the keto diet. Now, I hear a lot of controversy around the keto diet. Some people think it's a complete waste of time. Shouldn't go ahead and try it. What's your experience has been with the keto diet? Have you tried it yourself, or would you actually recommend it to anyone?
So I think the controversy still remains, actually, and I myself haven't tried it. I'm not. And the reason why, so the keto diet, in case anybody doesn't know, is that it's a ketogenic diet. It's similar to Atkins in the sense that it's a low carb, high fat diet. But I have never been one to restrict, particular food groups. So in this scenario, you are restricting the amount of carbohydrates that you have. And I think in certain cases where carbohydrates are, broken down into glucose, etc., then it can have some benefits. But again, I'm not one for promoting kind of cutting out complete food groups, because that in itself has health implications, like leading to nutritional deficiencies. So again, if you are considering it, then I would promote that you seek professional advice before you do that, especially if you have underlying comorbidities.
Definitely, and I've heard a lot about the keto diet, especially because the keto diet, I think you're cutting out a lot of your carbohydrates and you're having a very low carb count. And if you were to kind of suddenly cut out all your carbs from your diet, later on, if you were to have a carb, you put on the weight a bit more faster
Absolutely.
than before. Is that true?
So I think, again, you're correct in the sense that these diets out there, when they're done in a short period of time, yes, you see, fast results, but it's about being sustainable and actually, cutting out carbs for forever is not necessarily sustainable. So I think we do need to find that balance where you're mindful about what you're eating, but you're not restricting your food groups.
Definitely true. And when it comes to, actually foods and shopping, I know a lot of anxiety revolves around the numbers on the back of food labels. Should you actually be calorie counting, when you are shopping, when you are dieting? I know that actually can do more harm than good again, because more patients will be focused on, this food has so much fat, or this food has so much sugar. They can't actually enjoy the food. What advice would you give to someone when it comes to nutritional labels at the back of foods?
So I think you mentioned an excellent point. It's that kind of looking at food and thinking, is it calories or is it actual food? And I think you can get tied up in it. And I think you're right in the sense that using the traffic light system that we have on the majority of our foods is good in a way, because you're educating yourself about what are the micro and macronutrients in the food that you're buying and then consuming. I think also looking at the ingredients, you can see that some foods that we do buy have kind of an unexpectedly high amount of sugar and salt. And if you were to make these at home, you probably wouldn't put that much in there. So I think it's important to be informed about what you're buying. But then that fine line between being informed and becoming quite obsessive, it's very, very thin. So I think, yes, be informed about what you're buying, but don't be obsessive over it, because at the end of the day, yes, food is calories, but it's also actual food that's there to be enjoyed.
Definitely, really important points then. As we are coming towards the end of the show now, I think it's been a really productive and useful discussion in the beginning. I think before we actually end the show, Dr. Sharma, is there any kind of weight loss myths you want to address, or anything in particular you'd want to say to the viewers?
I think there are so many weight loss myths, actually. I could go on and on. But what I would say is that, you can't spot reduce fat. I think that's one of the main questions I do get, is that, how do I reduce like lower belly fat or whatever? But actually, you can't target one specific area. And if your aim is to lose weight, then you will lose weight overall. So that's probably one of the biggest myths that I've come across.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma, for being on the show. You've been really a wonderful, great guest, and you've answered all our questions in a really nice and easy way for everyone to understand at home. And I think just to wrap up there, I think New Year's coming. I think write new goals. When it comes to weight loss, definitely don't be shy to ask for help. Join us again in the new year. We'll be restarting the TV Health Show, and I'm your host, Nyrah Saleem. Good night.